Welcome to LilyTube, friends. Today we're going to talk about a controversial subject. President Donald Trump, he always seems to manage that. This video, however, is not about politics. We hope that by the end of it, you still won't know what we think about him in terms of his campaign or any of that. But we do want to talk about Trump and the colorful nature of humanity, because he is one of the more colorful individuals we've seen on the American scene. And he's been there for a long time. I remember him when I was a kid back in the 1980s. So please take a moment, give us a thumbs up, and make sure you're subscribed. And like I said, today we're talking about Donald J. Trump, former President of the United States. We'll dive deeper after this word from our sponsor.
This video is sponsored by Canyon Foot and Ankle. From simple nail care to advanced trauma and reconstructive care, their podiatrists have the training and skills needed to resolve even the most complex cases. Treat your feet the exceptional care they deserve.
What gifts does President Trump have? Cathy, I think one of those gifts is he has a sense for where people are, for what is bothering them, for the forgotten man, if you want to put it there. He's created this incredibly loyal following because he kind of knew what people were feeling. It's rare for a billionaire to do that, to relate that well, but he understood the people who had factories closed and lost their careers even late in life and were really displaced as the global economy kind of took over, and Trump kind of knew those people and what they were worried about.
And yet he's not afraid to say how it is. I remember back in my college days watching The Apprentice and seeing him left, right, and center say, "You're fired, you're fired, you're fired."
Oh, and I remember when he called Rosie O'Donnell a fat pig. And, she had said some rude things to him, but if you want to be president, you might try to rise a little above that kind of language.
Again, colorful.
Colorful. Whatever we can say about him, there's no one else quite like him. So what are his weaknesses? I think we've covered some of them. He doesn't have a lot of the filters that a normal politician might have with his language. His life story wasn't a constant preparation to run for office. He womanized and harsh to some people. What do you think, Cathy? His weaknesses, are those weaknesses, strengths? What do you find in him to dislike or worry about?
It's interesting you would ask that, because it reminds me of the concept we've written about in our best-selling book, Intentional Courtship, and also we've done videos here and podcasts about the concept of flips and flops. And really, it's two sides of the same characteristic. So on one hand, I think it is a strength to be able to just say how it is without any filters. But of course, there's the flop side, which is you're not very sensitive to people's tender feelings.
And I even bristle at some of the things he says, or some of the things he used to tweet out. So can we support or cheer from someone who is imperfect, who, may have done things that he is not proud of or shouldn't be proud of? How do we feel about that?
That's a good question, because, aren't we all full of weaknesses and strengths?
Like the Apostle Paul wrote, all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. But, we could take that too far, I think. You could, put somebody like John Gotti in the White House, for some former mafia boss, and say, he isn't perfect, but none of us are. Well, yeah, but you want something above that, right? So I think part of it is, has a person learned? Are they growing? Are they trying to do better all the time? Whether Trump is doing that or not, that's in the eye of the beholder.
I think he's definitely evolved, like most of us.
People still remember a lot of the things he did. A lot of the most crass kind of comments he made were he thought in private to Billy Bush, 15 years ago or something. How did you feel about the assassination attempt? We're going to show you a little clip and then we'll talk about it.
Let me begin this evening by expressing my gratitude to the American people for your outpouring of love and support following the assassination attempt at my rally on Saturday.
Obviously, President Trump felt that there was a lot of love that came after his attempted assassination. This is what he had to say about the actual incident.
When I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me really, really hard, on my right ear. I said to myself, wow, what was that?
I think there's circumstances in life that can catch us all off guard. I mean, I hope that most of us will never be shot at, but there will be times when we'll say, oh my goodness, what was that? And sometimes it will be the emotional sunburns we have when somebody says something that just really triggers our emotions. And then other times it will be truly loud voices of people who really want to put us down. And either way, it's something that we all have to deal with. And we've done videos on emotional sunburns and also tuning out loud voices for that purpose. And we'll put links to both of those videos in the show notes. This clip shows more of what Donald Trump says about this experience he had.
Bullets were continuing to fly as very brave Secret Service agents rushed to the stage, and they really did. They rushed to the stage.
And in the midst of this hateful act, there were loving voices, tender mercies, and divine design moments. And he could see them because he was watching for them. And that's something I think is a really good lesson to learn from this, is that in the midst of any hateful act towards us, there's always going to be love, tender mercies, and divine design moments that we can watch for and replace any animosity we might have or hurt feelings we might have with love and gratitude.
President Trump described the aftermath something like this.
There was blood pouring everywhere, and yet, in a certain way, I felt very safe because I had God on my side.
After recognizing his brave Secret Service agents and his faith in God's protection, Trump went on to say if he had not moved his head in the exact time, in the exact way, the bullet would have killed him. And as it was, the bullet came 1/4 of an inch from taking his life. And this massive crowd stood by and watched for the shooter, which Trump pointed out as a rare phenomenon for a gathering of people that size to not create more chaos and injury through stampeding to get out of the area.
Here was President Trump's understanding of the mood of this crowd.
This beautiful crowd, they didn't want to leave me. They knew I was in trouble. They didn't want to leave me. And you can see that love written all over their faces.
He could have missed the love all around him if he'd focused on the hate that tried to kill him. But that love and concern didn't go lost on him.
President Trump said this about his destiny.
I'm not supposed to be here tonight. I stand before you in this arena only by the grace of Almighty God. For the rest of my life, I will be grateful for the love shown by that giant audience of patriots.
The attempt on Donald Trump's life is an image that will last. A bloodied former president, his fist raised, is already an indelible portrait of an era of political crisis and conflict.
You know, one thing that kind of strikes me about this was, in terms of loud voices, it's the only time I've ever heard President Biden refer to President Trump as Donald. And he said he was going to call him, or he had called him and had a cordial phone call. And you know, this is a moment in which two presidents of the United States could relate. Even though President Biden, as far as I know, hasn't been shot at, they both know they're risking their lives every time they go out in public. And that there are people that may try to gain prominence by assassinating a president. And so I think in that moment, there may have been a real sense of, we're kind of in this together. On the political front, these campaigns, you know, you're supposed to fight hard on policy issues and disagreeing, but it becomes sometimes intensely personal. And that's what I'm saying when I said it's the only time I've ever heard President Biden refer to President Trump as Donald. I think when they're both realizing they're in that club that people would like to assassinate them, you know, maybe that transcends the loud voices, the shouting, the political fighting. President Trump explained a little bit about how this attempt on his life changed him.
Despite such a heinous attack, we unite this evening more determined than ever. I am more determined than ever, and so are you.
Yes, it impacted his resolve. And if he becomes our president again, I hope that it did. I really do. Like, I think stuff like this can really impact, especially in huge leadership positions.
Right. I don't know about you, but I don't want the president, whether it's from my party or the other party, to be assassinated. To me, that's an attack on our whole country. And even if the person's out of office. Can an imperfect person be a good and caring leader? What about the prophet Joseph Smith? He was young. We know he didn't always do everything perfectly. But can we love a leader that has shown his weaknesses? And can we love those we're in relationships with if they have weaknesses?
If? Of course they have weaknesses. We all do.
Right. So how do we deal with those weaknesses without dishonoring the person's agency? How do we get comfortable with contradictions in ourselves, in our dating partners, in lovers, in children, in historical figures we admire? Humanity is colorful and messy. Donald Trump is certainly both of those things.
We would love for you to share your thoughts about Donald Trump in the comments. We want to hear it all. And I'm sure you all have a lot to say about him. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more elevating content.
If what we're sharing as single life and relationship coaches resonates with you, feel free to visit loveandlateryears.com and schedule a free consult if you believe that some private or group coaching might benefit you. By the way,
remember, it's always a great time for more love in your life. Thanks for joining us for another week on LilyTube. If you enjoy what you see, support us by liking, commenting, and sharing your favorite videos with others who could benefit.
As single life and relationship coaches, our mission is to help single adults intentionally heal from loss to create a happy life and healthy relationships. Keep coming back and we'll keep you encouraged. Each week, we provide new and refreshing perspectives on the challenges and opportunities of mid-single life.
If you'd like to immerse yourself deeper into your own personal development and relationship journey, visit our website at loveandlateryears.com for even more resources. Don't take on divorce recovery and other relationship loss and single life alone. We are here for you.